We have a call to order for the Bartlett Economic Development Commission meeting of June 12, 2023. May we have a roll call, Tony?
Jerry Cabasco.
Here.
Kirsten Erickson.
Here.
Robert Perry.
Here.
Bruce Suffern.
Here.
Annette Gutenkopf.
Here.
Adam Lewenski.
Here.
Robert Gorski.
Here.
And newest member Mike Densford.
Here.
Great, we're 8 for 8. Thank you.
Meeting minutes would be next. Previous meeting was May 8th, 2023. Do we have any discussion on the issue of the minutes
I have
or the approval?
2 corrections that I'd like to make. On page 3 of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th paragraph down, the 50,000 has an extra 0 on it.
Got it?
All right, and then on page 4 of 5, and yeah, I probably mumbled my words, but it doesn't have to be repeated here. Credit inquiries would be to be consistent. Please strike the would be on that so that it just reads background checks or credit inquiries to be consistent. You don't need both of those.
Okay, the protocol would be to make a motion to amend the minutes, a second, and go from there.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the minutes with those 2 corrections.
I approve him.
We need a vote on this?
Okay, this is on the motion to amend the minutes. Jerry Cabasco,
Yes.
Robert Perry,
Here.
to amend the minutes. Annette Gutenkopf,
Yes.
Robert Gorski,
Yes.
Kirsten Erickson,
Yes.
Bruce Suffern,
Yes.
Mike Densford, and Adam Lewenski. Okay.
Motion carries to formally amend the minutes from the previous meeting. We have public comment next. Oh, approve it, okay,
Motion to approve the amended minutes.
yeah. Do we have a second for approval? Second, okay. All in favor, or you want to take a vote, Tony?
Another roll. Mike Densford,
Yes.
Robert Perry,
Yes.
Annette Gutenkopf,
Yes.
Jerry Cabasco,
Yes.
Kirsten Erickson,
Yes.
Bruce Suffern,
Yes.
Adam Lewenski, and Robert Gorski.
Yes.
Okay.
Approval of our minutes are official now. Next, we have public comment. After that, we would have a BEDA application to consider for Savoury Restaurant.
Yes, this BEDA application, thank you. This is for Gap Sparta Food Service doing business as Savoury Restaurant and Pancake Cafe, as we all know it, over in the Westgate Commons Shopping Plaza. Despina Catrosos, who is here tonight, is the applicant and part of the family that's been running this restaurant in Bartlett, this very popular restaurant, for the past 16 years. She's been working with us and with her own family and planning this renovation for quite some time. This isn't something just that popped up out of nowhere. We've been meeting about it and discussing it over the past few years, and we've met about it on multiple occasions. This is what I'm going to go through after the memo is some of the list of things that they're doing, but overall, we're looking at it as an expansion / renovation of the interior, as well as additional outdoor seating. So that's the crux of the BEDA application. So with this expansion of the interior, there will be 4 additional tables and 2 high tops added in the interior totaling seating for more than an additional 20 diners. Combined with the additional outdoor seating, Savoury would be able to handle more customers with less waiting time. I'm sure you've all been there when it's been very busy and there's been a bit of a wait. I know I have. But also the restaurant's private party business will be able to expand with this additional seating. She intends to hire additional staff, which I believe she's ready to comment on when her turn comes around. And we anticipate that this overall project, like I said, it's been there for 16 years. You could consider it the anchor business of Westgate Commons. A lot of people, including myself, when people don't know the names of the shopping centers all the time like we do, and they say, what's Westgate Commons? A lot of times you can say, well, that's where Savoury's located, and they'll know what you're talking about. So we hope that this BEDA application and renovation can help them for years to come. So what she turned in for this application was just shy of $100,000 worth of improvements. It was $97,000 and some change. We encouraged her. A few of the commissioners asked last month, and a couple of the board members asked last week if there's items that we tell people aren't necessarily eligible, or entire projects that aren't eligible for that matter. So we encouraged her, like we do all applicants, like we did Mr. Suffern, to turn in everything, and then we'll kind of pick through it piece by piece to see what fits within the BEDA application. So the ones that are eligible include some interior demolition, framing, electric, drywall, paneling, cabinets, countertops, new butcher block tables, and this work is all being done by Green Line Construction out of Addison. Those particular BEDA eligible expenses add up to just under $50,000, $49,586 for the more precise. Indoor and outdoor seating will be added and replaced at a cost of $14,536. As you all know, outdoor seating is encouraged, highly encouraged in these BEDA applications. We like to see a lot of people dining outside on the half year or so when the weather's nice, and draws some more attention to the restaurants and to the center. It's a pleasant way to dine on a nice evening or day. So outdoor seating is encouraged, and that amounted to $4,930 and includes 32 additional seats, 4 32-inch by 32-inch tables, 8 31.5-inch black square metal tables, and 5 9-foot square wood market umbrellas. The sign is also, of course, one of our routine BEDA application. We always encourage additional or new or upgraded signage. You've seen quite a few of them, probably 4 or 5 of them in the last year or so. And Savoury as well is going to come up with a new, brighter, attractive sign. We do not BEDA rebate our own permit fees, so I just minused out the permit fee is pretty small. I think it was $100 or $200 or something like that. So anyway, the sign we removed. Sorry, that's a $175 permit fee for that. So the sign, overall sign permit, $5,270. We added these all together. The indoor renovations that I mentioned, the electrical work, the carpentry, some of the new drywall, some of the new tables, not all the new tables, because some are replacing, but these are additional tables. The outdoor seating, which you can see, I won't say the whole thing, but she's expanding the outdoor dining area, which should be a big benefit. This all adds up to just under $60,000 worth of BEDA eligible improvements. Last line of this just remarks that they're a tenant, longtime solid tenant in that center, and there's a letter of support from the landlord included in your packet. So for all these reasons, all of the long-term dedication that her late parents and her family have put into this very successful, iconic breakfast and lunch venue here in Bartlett. We recommend the full 50% rebate of all eligible costs. We believe it'll be money well spent. I'd like to say for the next 16 years, but for however long they intend to operate there. So we're recommending $29,893.48 for a BEDA grant. And you can see the petitioner here. Again, I want to remark, I just said it in a few seconds, she's been planning this meticulously for a long period of time, several years. And if you have any questions of staff or the petitioner, Despina Katsroutsos, now is the time.
How much additional staff are you expecting to hire?
Come up there, yeah.
Can you hear me? So as of right now, since we are adding an additional 20 seats inside and probably the same outside, an additional 20 seats outside, I'm going to need at least 6 more servers, 2 more busboys, and then cooks-wise, they're kind of tight back there. I already have 5 guys. So it just depends on kind of how the layout is at that point and how many of these servers can stay after hours too for our private parties. So at least about 6 to 10 part-time or full-time employees. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The outdoor patio space, was that previously shared with the restaurant next door, or how did that work?
Yeah, so when Tipsy Monkey was there, we put a fence up just because it just worked better. And they were also open at night, and I think we were still open at night when they came around. Because we've only been breakfast and lunch for about 8 years. We had the dinner open. So now that Wheaties took over, is closed, they're changing the concept, they actually allowed us to take the fence down. So we're using the entire patio now. So that's why we do need additional tables out there, because A, it looks empty, and then B, everybody wants to sit outside. Like this weekend, I was short-staffed because, you know, restaurant life, and it's insane how many people will wait just to sit outside. So now we took the fence down, and I actually already had some guys, you know, fix, because there was things sticking out of the ground, you know, from the fences. So we've already fixed all that. We're just waiting to get some new tables.
Everything on the patio is just going to be like temporary kind of stuff, so nothing's like permanently adhered to the patio, or is anything like permanently structured to the building?
Oh, no, everything will be temporary, just because in the wintertime, unless, I mean, there's no tarp big enough to cover that. We don't want it to get ruined.
Okay.
That's why we're trying to make this investment now so that we can keep it for years, because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So, and it's good to move around because there's a lot of parties that want to go out there that we can't accommodate for. We didn't have the space before. Now that we do have the space with that fence down, we need more tables and chairs and all that stuff. And I didn't mention this. He said I've been meticulously planning this. It's been like a really long time coming, but we do also want to get like heat lamps and stuff to kind of spread out that alfresco dining until from, you know, May to about November. It's still nice out, so people still want to sit outside.
Have you put in your request for more summer work?
For summer employees?
No, for summer light,
Like the outside?
right?
I mean, I guess.
I hope you get more conducive weather.
Oh, yeah, obviously, it's gonna rain the next few days, but still, that's why the inside is very important too, because I have so many inquiries for private parties, and sometimes just the layout doesn't work, and yeah, a lot of what we weren't eligible for is obviously changing up the decor a little bit. We've never been that type to be like super breakfasty, so we kind of just want to keep everything neutral now so that we have that, private parties, you can come for a communion and it still looks like a nice atmosphere, homey.
Will you have to close down for a period of time?
So actually, we're not going to, because we cannot afford that. We were gonna do it in sections. And my brother, who isn't here, he's also one of the owners, he is going to be one of the general contractors on the job. He's an electrician, a union electrician. So he's gonna do all the electrical work. And then everybody else we have is family, friends. So we are gonna section it off and do it, Sunday night to Thursday, we'll do one section, and then the next week, again, we'll close off and temporary drywall, whatever they're doing. So the biggest thing is that back section where we're adding the tables, because we're ripping up. I don't know if any of you have been and remember, there's like dividers, and we're ripping all those away so that we can expand the dining room and it just be one big dining room. So that's gonna be, there's no floor underneath there, because that kind of just was done as construction 16 years ago was done, so.
No, the village has building
Well, I'm
codes.
going to let him get to the negative part, because it's really not a question for her, it's a question for them. But before that, I just want to say it's equally important to everybody that we support existing businesses that have been with us for a long time. It's not just about new businesses here. So I just wanted that said. And then as far as like a best practice type of thing, since it is a larger amount, I'm curious how long your lease is for currently?
We just signed a new lease so a 5-year lease with 2 options, so essentially 15 years.
Okay.
Because before, my dad had done the other lease, and, back in 16 years ago, it was kind of just a handshake, and he said, whatever it is. So because we hit 15 years last year, they gave us another 5-year with 2 options, so.
Again, a question more for Tony and the staff. Given that last month we had talked about amendments to the BEDA policies, and in point number 3, we talked about that outdoor seating as an eligible expense should be permanent, and we're talking about temporary tables here in this application. So I'm wondering, are we going to still proceed with that if these amendments to your procedures go through, then some of those expenses are not eligible?
The new program that you folks commented on so eloquently has gone to the board for their review. And then at the following meeting, their approval. That has not been approved yet by the board. When we started our conversations with Des, it was based on the old application, and that's what we had been meeting for the last year and a half or so. So we did feel as though it'd be appropriate not to switch up the game on such a valuable business in town. So we did allow her to operate on the old application.
And I don't mean to interrupt anybody, but they will be permanent. I just will not be keeping them there all year round. So if I'm going to put 10 tables outside, it's going to be 10 tables for the next 15 years, if that makes sense. I'm not going to screw them to the ground so that they don't get ruined, if that makes any sense at all.
Yes. I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
I feel that that's fair to do. I mean, since this was something that was put in motion on the prior, I think that since the village board hasn't voted on it yet, I think that it's fair to uphold the prior game.
Yeah, we have another one in the works as well that's still working on the current application. This should be coming possibly next month.
I just think it would benefit, I mean, there's all these homes coming on West Bartlett and 59, so we don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon, so, you know.
Well, my family loves it, so I'm gonna do a motion to approve. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any opportunity for more parking there?
Okay, so that's so funny because George called me. I know, George called me before this and my brother was debriefing me on everything. He couldn't be here today, but he was like, I don't know, obviously it's not me, but he wanted me to ask about the parking because it's terrible. I feel so bad because we have a lot of, customers that are parking on the other side or in the back, so.
I'm going for a zoning 101 here, that the entire center was approved, as the site plan sits today. So, like most centers, it's considered shared parking. So you could theoretically park in the very back of the office building behind the optometrist and walk to go to the physical therapy place on the other side of the center, or vice versa. One way that parking ratio has impacted it is when businesses come in. For instance, a new business wants to come in. Right now, I can tell you that the parking in that center, even not just from a literal sense of being parked up, but from a zoning perspective, is parked up in terms of restaurants. There have been other restaurants that have wanted to go in there in some of these spaces that are currently utilized by offices and other businesses. They haven't been allowed to because the calculations of the parking ratios. Different uses, different types of business uses require different parking ratios. And the last restaurant that came in with a BEDA grant was Indian Express. It converted some kind of office into a restaurant, and that basically tapped out the parking ratio for the entire center. So are we going to add parking there? No. The parking that's there is there. But if a huge sports bar wanted to move in where there was a realtor's office, it wouldn't be allowed.
There's no place to add parking.
It's a good question, because, and the other way to look at it is a sign of a very successful shopping center. When you go by there on a Sunday morning, you can't find a parking space. They're mostly waiting to get into Savoury.
And I also feel, just personally, as somebody who owns a business downtown, parking is also partly our problem and our ownership, because I just had this conversation with somebody at Streets of Bartlett about how's their parking going to be, and I was like, well, if your bartender wasn't in the very first parking spot, that might be better too. So I think it's also on business owners to ensure that their staff is taking those furthest parking spots and ensuring that they're customer focused, because we can only do so much. The zoning is what it is, and if there's parking behind by Bartlett Vision, then that's where staff should be parking when they're not busy. I mean, you need to move your cars out of the way for customers, is how I feel.
My staff parks in the back.
Yeah, and as well they should.
They know,
It's so important.
they're like, where do we park? And that's day one training, park in the back.
Get it back.
We don't have room.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time in the village, about parking, and it's a good thing. I can see in that plaza, it's a little harder because we don't have the Metro to offset it and everything, but, I hate the P word, I really do. I'm like,
Call it the P word.
yeah, I'm like,
And, I mean, the village board, it was right when I started, about a year after, in 2006, when we worked with the developer for Westgate Commons, and they looked at the parking 10 ways till Sunday. And they're in Savoury and Wheaties and the other restaurant. They're all in the center that was planned for retail and restaurants. And the other, they called that phase 1 and 2, is really like 2 buildings. And then the third building is all office. So like I said, people don't want to park 100 yards or 200 yards away from their venue, but in a busy, successful center like Westgate Commons, sometimes that's what a customer has to do.
I will second Adam's motion.
Okay. I'll call roll. Robert Perry,
Yes.
Nanette Gutenkoff,
Yes.
Jerry Kabasco,
Yes?
Adam Lewensky. Yes. Robert Gorski,
Yes.
Bruce Suffern. Yes. Kirsten Erickson,
Yes.
and Mike Densford. Great, motion carries. The next move will be the recommendation from the EDC, along with this report will go before the village board committee at another meeting right here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, I appreciate you.
You're welcome, Des, and we'd like to ask you to join the Chamber of Commerce, too. I got to put my chamber hat on, so. Gotta put my chamber
Back, but I just have to pick my thing. But we are joining, yes.
We like to drive business home to people.
For sure, we are, for sure.
Thank you.
Always got my hat on.
Yeah, you're done.
It's not rude at all.
No, it's not. We don't have much else to, you were the agenda tonight.
So what's up with Aldi?
What's up with Aldi? So even though with great fanfare it was approved a while ago, there's still a few little kinks to iron out, a few I's to dot and a few T's to cross. I don't want to bore anybody or talk out of turn, but those issues have all seemingly been resolved. And we're working with them now to get everything lined up, including their permits in order. And we hope to see something happen in the next couple of months here.
Yeah, I'll peel back the curtain even a little bit more. We had to locate a document from the 1920s, and then we had to find proof with MWRD on one of their sewer permits from 1976. So we've had to do a lot of digging between the landlord and the store owner, between the store. A lot of those things, you know, sometimes they're important, sometimes they're not, but Aldi dots every single I, and we're grateful for that. They have gone out to bid on the project, so they are proceeding, and they told us they have every intention of breaking ground this summer. So it all comes down to when they get the materials and when the material timeline, and they're hoping it's earlier than later. But yeah, we talked to them. Tony and I talked to them midweek last week, and they're going to be moving dirt this summer.
Yeah. The only other thing I'm going to add to that is if something's recorded on a property, it doesn't go away. So like Scott said, we were looking at a handwritten easement from close to 100 years ago. They had to be vacated. You can't build a building over certain easements. And it's like ancient history, but here we were dealing with it in June of 2023.
That's the boring stuff.
Yeah, it's boring, but it allows the project to move forward, so that's the exciting part.
With all the construction on the west side of 59, is there any projection for commercial?
Yeah, there's a commercial developer, as I've said on the EDC for many years and for those newer members. So we've had preliminary meetings with a developer. They're not ready to make any big announcements or submit any plans or anything like that soon. But for sure, the activity over there and the very well-known name of the home builder, D.R. Horton, has drawn a lot of interest. I field a lot of phone calls on it, and there is somebody who I believe probably has it under contract at this point, or they're close to it. So there will be. We're trying to get the commercial there as close to in tandem with the residential as we possibly can.
Are you referring to the 6 acres on the corner?
That's correct. It's 6 with an asterisk. 6, maybe 3 usable.
Ask a question about the parcel of land that's on West Bartlett Road that is just east of the Shell station at 25.
Right.
Is there progress on that piece of property?
Honestly, there hasn't been. An interested developer purchased it, submitted some preliminary plans, and that's it. That's, I must have mentioned that at February in that economic indicators report, one of the things we were hoping would move forward this year hasn't moved forward yet. But that would be, one more thing, it would be a good development to serve that side of town. I mean, it's something we're intent to work. Not every developer, I'll say this very vaguely, comes in with a full team able to go smoothly through the process, and some of them take a little bit longer to go through the entire engineering and architecture and land planning and soil testing and all that stuff. It takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and a lot of money.
Is the Elgin Hyundai development coming along?
Oh, that's cranking along, yeah. That, I drive past it occasionally. I follow it on LinkedIn, and I think they're getting pretty close. Yeah, that's another big one. I haven't even barely mentioned this year. It's going to ultimately become our largest sales tax generators.
Do we know, are they closing the Elgin facility that they have?
Yeah, this one is relocating. They're going to call it Elgin Hyundai, so you know. And they're going to call it Elgin Genesis. But it's going to be here in Bartlett. We're going to collect all the sales tax, and it's going to be in our town. There's a lot of reasons for that, but yeah, this is a relocation.
If there's no further discussions on new business, we can consider adjournment. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third. All in favor?
Everyone's in favor of that? Okay, good.
Meeting adjourned.